Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time stopping by. If you are new to my channel, a few things about me. I am a tarot content creator, but I am also a creator of other things. I am an author. I've written 2 books, both of which you can find links to down below. The Self-Worth Path, which was my first book, all about learning how to live in an empowered way and in a way where you fully embrace your self-worth. And my most recent book, Unlocking the Tarot, Create Your Own Keys, which is a guide to learning the tarot, creating your own personalized set of keywords for them. This was published by Llewellyn Books, and it came out just late last year. I'm so proud of it, but you can find a link to that down below as well. And I am a tarot deck creator. My very first tarot decks ever, the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. This is a beginner-friendly deck that tells a story to help you really learn the cards. And it follows our central character, Mystic, as they learn to sort of embrace their own self-worth. This sort of marries self-worth, tarot, and story together into, something magical? I'm really proud of these. You can get it in a standard or a mini, and it is available on my Etsy shop. Link to that is in my link tree down below as well. And most recently, my wife and I collaborated to create the Sassy Dragons Tarot. These are delightful. They are very beginner friendly, with cards that actually give you the meaning on every single card. So you can actually see what it means. It's a fun, playful meaning. The not safe for work version has a lot of swearing and naughty references, but it's meant to be really relatable, super fun, and easy to work with. So you don't need a guidebook. You just get in, start working with the cards. Super fun. This was successfully funded on Kickstarter late last year and is actually just about ready to ship to Kickstarter backers. And I will have extra copies available in my Etsy shop soon. So keep an eye on this space or on the Etsy shop, which is supportivetarot.etsy.com. Super easy to remember, but it is in my link tree as well. And I'm just trying to get better about talking about my stuff. So thank you to everybody who has been cheering me on as I get more comfortable doing this. I really appreciate you. And let's get started. Today we are going to be doing a Let's Learn Lenormand together. This is a series where I am trying to refresh my own memory about Lenormand and get more comfortable with it. I am not trying to teach Lenormand, but I am trying to share the things that have worked for me. My #1 resource for learning Lenormand has been Donna Della Rose's channel. I will have her information linked down below and her channel. I highly encourage you to watch and drink up everything you possibly can on her channel related to Lenormand. Her content around memorizing the cards and her little short punchy videos that at this point are years and years old, they still hold up. They're so great for learning Lenormand, and I can't recommend her content highly enough. What I have been using as the foundation as we go through this series, though, is her series of videos. I believe there's 6 videos in total that help you to memorize the cards. And we've been doing that from the beginning as we sort of get to know a grouping of cards at a time. Now, up until this point, we've been doing about 6 cards at a time, but today we are going to do the last batch of cards. That is cards 25 through 36. So about double what I guess exactly double. So 12 instead of 6 cards. So we're going to spend our time in today's video going over those 12 cards and sort of wrapping up our initial kind of getting to know the cards today. So that's what we're doing today. If you're just stumbling on this series, though, again, please check out Donna Lay's videos and also check out the earlier videos in this series. I do have a playlist on my channel to make it really easy to find and watch the videos in order as we go through the cards. But the idea is to kind of get comfortable, to kind of jump right in. So we have been working with, in an exercise way, the cards as we go along, as well as trying to just get to know them and learn them. Now, my personal favorite Lenormand book is this cute little Lenormand, Easy Intuitive Fortune Telling with a 36 card Lenormand deck. This is by Sarah Lyons. It's a mass market, easy to find on Amazon or your local bookstore, and it does come with an adorable Lenormand deck, which I don't have on my table today, but is super cute and is one of my favorites. The cards look just like that. There's some pictures that are, mind you, monochromatic. They're full color on the cards themselves, but anyways, that is sort of the vibe. There's several things I love about this book, and I'm just going to remind you what. #1, what I just showed you, right? And as soon as you open the book, you have a little cheat sheet on the end papers that take you through all the cards, and if you flip the page all the way to card 36, and it has the picture of the card, it has the title of the card, and it has a grouping of keywords and a quick little, meaning. So for example, here for the ship, it says travel, movement, distance, a journey or vacation going somewhere new. And so that's really handy if you're just working with the cards. So you don't have to look up each individual card entry to refresh your memory if you're just working with your deck. Super convenient. Love that. But then also when you get into the book and read the card entries, there's just a ton of information. There's great information here on different ways of working with the cards, and it's just legitimately my favorite resource. It's really great. So highly recommend this. I have seen it on bargain sites before. I've seen it at full price, but it's just, I can't saying its prices enough. Highly recommend. And then for today, you just need your Lenormand deck. I have been using a deck that was actually sent to me to write the keywords that I like the best on the actual cards. So we will be reviewing the cards that we've done before, and then we'll be getting into our newest cards. But the deck that I've been writing on is by a member of our community, Bunny Kisses, and she created Bunny Kisses Furs class. I love this. It says that. Bunny Kisses Lenormand. So I will have a link to this deck down below. My favorite sort of classic Lenormand that you can get super, super easily is this Grand Tableau one by Lo Scarabeo. My box is upside down, but that's fine. It comes in a nice little sturdy 2-piece box. It's a good size. These are bridge size cards, and they have that sort of classic Lenormand look to them. Love them so much. And it's just a great little kit. It doesn't come with like a beefy guidebook or anything, but if you want like a really nice sort of classic looking set, this has been by far and above my favorite. But we will do a review of the cards. We're also going to review memory tricks that we've been using in order to get to know the cards as we go through. So let me get the book out of the way. And we are going to jump in and just quickly review cards 1 through 24 that we've covered already. So I'm going to get us, I guess, zoomed. How am I going to do this? I'm going to zoom us in a little bit, I think. Okay, this should be good. So a couple things to review just for our memory. Make sure you, like this is what I learned to do with Donna Lay on her videos. And so we'll do it together today. This is also for my own benefit, which is why I'm doing it again. But every time you do this exercise where you tactilely like sort of draw and remind yourself what the card is, it will really help you to set it in motion, like set it in memory for you. So we start off with the Rider. I've always remembered the Rider as number 1 because it's just the first card and it just makes it easy for me to remember. But if you're looking for something more specific, as I was reviewing Donna Lay's videos, one thing she points out is that in a horse race, they go to the starting gate, and it's this idea of like starting or initiating. And obviously that is a rider on a horse that does that. So you could go starting gate. And I write it down, even if like you hear it, it's so weird, but it does actually help with memory. So starting gate, we have rider is 1. So that's how I remember that card. Now the Rider for me is news and information. Sometimes something fast or that's only there for a short time. It's in motion, right? So I have written on my card news and info, but you might have other keywords that you like on yours. For Clover, I remember that Clover is number 2 because of the trick. Again, I'm going to be repetitive, so I'm going to try not to continue to say Donna Lay, but just assume like 99% of these came from Donna Lay. But she taught a method where you look at the fact that on a clover leaf, there are 2 little bumps, I guess you could say. So that's 2. That's how I remember that. A 4-leaf clover, for example, I'm doing a really bad job of drawing that, but a 4-leaf clover is made up of like little heart kind of shapes, and each one has 2 little bumps. So 1, 2, so 2 is clover. Now the clover for me is luck, and it's often like something that is there and it's also gone. Something that's short term, so short term luck or short term good, or a little bit of happiness, a little bit of luck, a little bit of joy. Finding a 4-leaf clover is lucky, but it's not like necessarily something that's going to like rock your world. Like we're not talking lottery win here. We're talking like a little bit of luck, that kind of vibe. And so I remember clover as a little bit of luck. So I write on the card luck, and I also have short term. The ship memory trick was to draw waves like you were a kid in school. And if you turn those on their sides, you get a 3. Ship is 3. The ship is on the water, so we have 3 for the ship. Now the ship for me is my vehicle card, so I do have vehicle written up top. It's so if like I'm doing a reading and like I not need a card, but if I'm thinking about what it could mean, it may mean my actual car, like my vehicle, or any vehicle. It can also mean travel and journeys. But because Lenormand is read fairly literally, I tend to think of this as like my vehicle or travel card, because of course it's the ship. So it's pretty on the nose. And I think that's the thing about Lenormand, is that a lot of the meanings are pretty straightforward. For the house, 4 is easy for me because 4 is a number of stability. You cannot build a house without 4 walls, right? You need at least 4 walls. I'm going to make one a little taller, one a little shorter, and one a little taller. And then imagine folding them all together and you have a house. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. House has 4 sides, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is the house. House is exactly what you think it would be, right? It's home, it's security, it's family. It's where you feel sort of safe and comfortable, right? That's your home, your house. For tree, several things come to mind. For the number, the way that I learned again let's just come over here, is this way. So you draw a basic tree shape, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5. So a tree has 5 points if you draw it in a really basic way like that. So 5 is the tree. Tree is growth. Obviously, we're talking about growth, but growth over a long time. So it's like a long period of growth. Also health. Trees often represent health and longevity. So I often think of like if the clover is only around for a short time, right? The tree, so we've got this plant that's going to be around for just a short time. The tree's around for a very, very long time. So we have short term, long term. That's kind of how I think of time frames with these particular cards. And that does become relevant in readings. So yeah. Interestingly, when I was restudying all this stuff, I did come across some things that indicated that tree could have a default like negative interpretation, but I've never read it that way. So I don't do that. For me, it's just a neutral card that is health and longevity. So next we have clouds. Now clouds bring obscurity, right? They bring confusion. So my keywords here are troubled mind, confusion, and doubt. And as far as drawing it, if you draw these loopy clouds and you isolate them, you've got 6s in the cloud, right? So you're drawing a bunch of 6s to make clouds shapes, right? So that's easy to remember, 6 for clouds for me. The snake is 7. Again, this is an easy one because if you just were to draw a snake, there's a little tongue. We have a 7 basically, and you just coil this around. So you have a snake, 7, easy. Snake is, now you can, whatever determination you make about what you want these cards to mean, and you can break the system. You do not have to follow a traditional system, but whatever you follow, make sure you're consistent. So for some people, snake is going to be wisdom and transformation and themes like that because snakes shed their skin. The message that I learned, or the meaning that I learned for snake, was betrayal, lies, envy, a snake in the grass, like somebody who's being snaky in a bad way. But you may not like that. So whatever you pick, if you're going to go the betrayal route or that like the negative interpretation of snake, just make sure you're consistent. Or vice versa, if you're going to use the transformation and wisdom aspect, then obviously stay consistent with that. That's kind of my personal advice and what works for me. But for me, I do stick with sort of snake being betrayal, lies, envy. And it's really easy for me to remember that too, just because of so much, I don't know, like things we're exposed to where we think of somebody as being sort of snaky. Coffin is easy for me to remember, the 8, because, and again, Donna Lay, because of this infinity symbol that is an 8 shape, right? So that 8 is coffin, which is great because if you think of like life, death, rebirth, it's this perpetual cycle of life and death. The coffin represents ending, loss, putting like that last nail in the coffin, like that finality. So I have on my card ending and loss as my 2 main keywords. Bouquet, this is easy for me to remember the picture because if I just draw a 9 and add another line over here, and I have a cone of flowers, which is a bouquet. So it's really easy for me to remember that 9 is bouquet. Bouquet is like a bigger, like beautiful gift. So it's like a big gift, recognition. I put beauty, gratitude. So like I think of the fact that you give people bouquets when they perform on stage. Bouquets are often think of as something you get, like somebody giving you a single flower is like a nice gesture, but a bouquet is a much bigger gesture. So I think of it as like a big gift. Recognition because of the performance aspect. Obviously flowers are beautiful, and there's an aspect of gratitude as well that I feel like we can attach to this card. So those are the words that I have on there. The scythe is something that cuts. So it's harvesting or cutting. So I have cutting, quick, and sharp. You can't use a scythe in slow motion or it's not going to work effectively. You would just bend whatever it is you're trying to cut. You have to be fast. And so there's this cutting, quick, and sharp energy to this card. Now I remember the 10, ironically, because the 10 of Swords in tarot is the big dramatic, like sort of cutting, biting kind of card. And so having the 10 in the Lenormand be the scythe makes a lot of sense to me. So that's how I remember. Then we have the broom. Now, traditionally, you'll see a broom and a whip. So let me just show you in the Grand Tableau, Lenormand here, what that looks like more traditionally. So you'd have, oh, mine's not actually in order, but that's okay. Let me just look for, what have I done here? Okay, there we go. Okay, that's the scythe. There we go. There's the broom and the whip. So you have 2 objects. And what's great about that is it's 11. So that's easy, right? So if you want to remember that broom and whip is 11, you just remember that there's typically 2 objects. Also, something that is really, really strongly associated for me, at least with this card, is repetitive patterns or negative actions. So it's like strikes of a whip or sweeps of a broom. Those both are very repetitive motions. And so pattern and repetition is a really strong association that I have with this card. So remembering that it's the 11, which is 2 1s side by side, you're repeating yourself, makes a lot of sense for like remembering that that's the number for this card. But again, broom and whip, we have pattern, repetition. Also, there's the whip is quite an aggressive thing. So we have conflict or aggression often associated with this card. Some people do associate this card with sex, which is one other option for that. I would say in my deck, if I was doing a reading, this would come up like that for me. There's another card later on in the deck that some people associate with sex. I like this one for it. It just makes sense with repetition. Maybe I'm just a little too on the nose with it, but it just makes sense. But I don't write that on there because I don't need to remember. Next we have the birds. Birds are 12. This is so easy because you buy eggs by the dozen, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have a dozen eggs, 12. Birds make eggs. I mean, easy for me to remember. So I just, eggs, birds, easy. Birds are often pictured on the card as a pair. So let me find it in here as well so you can see what I mean. So it's not always the case. You're always going to find decks that do things differently. But traditionally in the birds card, you'll either see 2 owls or 2 other types of birds, like songbirds. In this case, here's a great example. You don't see 2. You see a whole group. I like to see 2 personally because I feel like it ties in better. But you can look at it as a pair. So this is like a small group. It can be more than 2, but the idea is that it's a small group. So I wrote pair on my card as a reminder of that fact. But this is about small group conversation. So this is communication and chatter. It can be gossip. It's often like that smaller, more intimate communication that happens in that card. 13 is child, and this is easy for me. I remember 13 as the first year you're no longer a child. That's the year that you become a teenager. So 13 child is really easy for me to remember. And then child is innocence, new, beginning, just like you would find in, say, like a fool card. Same kind of idea. So it's a child is somebody who's still fresh and taking information in, that kind of thing. Youth. Then we have the fox. For me, the fox is cunning, strategic. They can be manipulative. I also have it noted that it's my entrepreneur card. Now, fox, once we get into these teen cards, you can do a lot with, as I learned from Donna Lay, you can do a lot by going, what is the, like, combining a previous number we learned. So if 4 is the house, we know that 4 is the house, then this is what goes in the house or goes in, if a house, she did like foxhole, like, so the fox in the hole, the fox in the house, 14. You could also use the alliteration of the fact that fox starts with F, and so does 14. So you have fox 14, so you can remember it that way too. Then there's bear. Bear is 50. Did I say what it means? Yeah, I did. Bear for me is power and authority, strength, a manager, somebody with some, again, authority. So I have authority on here. So it's like an authority figure in your life, that kind of thing. Also, this can be like mama bear energy. Obviously, that's where some of the strength and power and like management comes from. But anyways, for this, we have the tree was 5. So we can see the tree over there was 5. So the bear is going to be standing next to the tree. Where's the bear going to be? He's going to be next to the tree. So we have bear as 15. So 1 for the bear, 5 for the tree. You have 15 bear. And again, I'm just repeating. A lot of these are ones that I just got from Donna Lay. 16 is stars, and you do the same trick. So clouds are stars, or sorry, clouds are 6s. So you have 6. And what's with the clouds? The stars. So they're both in the sky. So we have the stars are with the clouds. So 16 is stars or star. Most cards I think do call them stars, plural. And I like that because for me, there's a multiplication or spreading out energy of stars. Like they sort of connect to one another. So I like to think of like connections, like broad networks, bigger networks. And then also hope, wishes, and guidance, like I would normally associate with a star as well. So 16, star with or behind the clouds, 16 stars, easy. The stork, the easiest way for me to do this one was to imagine the same shape. So a lot of times, not on this card, there's sort of a stork. The stork kind of has a 7 shape. Also, we can work with that alliteration. So 7 starts with an S, and 7 also starts with, I should say 17. 17 starts with an S, stork starts with an S. But if we look at another picture of the stork from a different deck, a lot of times they are facing to the left, if I remember correctly. Not always, just sometimes. Yeah, here's an example. And we can see the 7 shape on the stork. So if we draw it, right, there's the beak, There's the head. There's the curve of its body, right? There's our 7. So our 7 is here. 7 for stork. So we have our 1 plus 7, so we have 17. Now, as long as you know the snake really well, otherwise if you kind of focus too hard on the 7, which I tend to do, it can mix you up, but 17 is stork. Put that back over there. Now, for me, stork is migration and changes. Obviously, if we think of the stork bringing a baby, that's like a big change. There can also be a big like life transition associated with that. Migration can be literally physically moving. So things like going to a new area or moving on to a new job, but like these big sort of shifts and changes. Dog, we come back to the lemniscate here, the sideways 8 as like a forever symbol. So dog is a forever friend. So this lemniscate of forever with a dog. What's forever? Our friend is forever. Our dog is forever. So this is like a loyal friend, a trusted person. Dog is 18. Tower is 19. And I think that how I remembered it before, it's been a little bit since I made one of these videos, but I think I pictured a flag on top of a tower. And a flag has kind of the shape of a 9. So we have our tower as the 1, the 9 as the flag on top, and we have 19 is tower. And then a tower, unlike in tarot, where the tower is like destruction and like things are coming crumbling down, in Lenormand, it's literally what it looks like. It's a big structure that is kind of got a sense of isolation to it. So there's a sense of isolation. There's a sense of sort of like established systems. If you've built a tower, you obviously have like money, you've established yourself, you can really build it up. So we have systems and corporations. I tend to think of like big organizations, even maybe government, anything that has that sort of hierarchy to it. But then also boundaries. Like if you think of it, if you're putting yourself in a tower, you're kind of shutting yourself off from others, right? So there's an element of boundaries and safety, that safety of boundaries that is associated with the tower. So those are the words I have: isolation, hierarchy, systems and corporations, and boundaries for the tower. 19. The garden is 20, and the way I learned this is if clover is 2 and you have lots of clovers, you have a garden of clovers. For me, garden is like big groups. So if the birds is like a small group, like a small gathering of people or friends or whatever, then the garden is like a big group. So like a community, it could be a big meeting. It also tends to be more public. So I have public meetings, big groups. It can also be the outdoors. So sometimes when garden comes up, or even clover, we could be looking at outdoor places or grass, things like that, if you're looking at a more literal interpretation. And again, for the number, we have clover. So 2 equals clover. And so therefore 20 is lots of clovers, which is a garden. Okay. Next, we have 21, which is mountain. There's this long uphill climb associated with the mountain. There's also this sense of obstacle. So if like you were to draw out, this is one example, if you were to draw out a 21 in a really exaggerated way, right? That's kind of like half a mountain shape, but you can imagine this long upward climb, right? And then you get to the top, you do all this work, and you're met with this long cliffside, like this obstacle. Because to me, those are the two aspects of the mountain, right? This long upward climb and then the sort of obstacle. So that's what I've written down: obstacles and long uphill climb. But another way to remember this that Donna Lay suggested is at 21, at least in the US, that's drinking age. So it's this idea of like it's taking you a long time to get to that point. So there's been a long slog to get to drinking age, or whatever, like at 21 when you can do stuff. So that's something to think about. Path is 22. So there's 2 2s. 2s for me are always choice. And so 2 2s is 2 choices. 2 choices. So therefore 22 is the path. And that is because path or crossroad is another way you might see this called out. A path or a crossroad is a choice between 2, right? You're trying to go this way or that way, which it literally says in the sign. This way, or that way. I also have choices or splitting or 2 of something. So this idea that like there's an either or whatever energy to that card. Then we have mice. This one is easy to remember because if you turn it on its side and really exaggerate the number, there's your 3 and there's your 2. And you can like even have that be the tail. I don't remember how I did it, but like it kind of looks like, or these could be whiskers. So we have our little eyes, and these are our whiskers with the 2. Maybe not so much a tail on that, but you know what I mean. Like you can play around with the visual of it, but 23 is mice. And mice are always nibbling away or taking away something. So for me, mice are often like worries. I have stress. I have little problems become big problems because, of course, if something gets chewed away or eaten away or nibbled away, it eventually becomes a bigger issue. Like imagine something like termites, right? If you have termites or another pest in your house, they can like cause all this damage that becomes a big problem. Initially, just a little nibble, like it doesn't matter, but little things add up. So little problems that can become big problems, taking something away, stress, worries, etc. And then we have heart. So this one's easy because 2 and 4, if you have 2 people that are in love, so 2 times 2 equals 4, you create a family. And of course the house, which is number 4, is home and family. So you have that sort of creating. And heart is about love, caring, romance. Often it is about relationships, right? So those are the ones we've learned so far. So let's move on to our last grouping of cards. We're going to do more today than we've done in the past, but let's kind of go over them. So first we have ring. Ring is easy if you think about the meaning, right? It's going to be contracts, commitments, promises. Like what are rings for? They're a promise. They're a commitment. They are a contract when you think of them in the terms of like wedding ring. In terms of remembering this card, Donnelly suggests thinking of your hand, right? We have 5 fingers on our hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we put our wedding ring, traditionally would be on the second finger. So 1, 2, second finger, 5 fingers, that's 25, 2, 5. So if we want to draw a hand, my dog is snoring. If you can hear it, I'm sorry. Wow. This is why I don't paint my own tarot cards. I hire artists because holy cow. So we have 5 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We include the thumb. And the second one is our ring finger, right? If we go from the pinky side, so we have 25 ring. So easy to remember ring, and remembering the ring is like a promise, commitment, or contract I think is pretty simple if you think about that wedding ring idea, which is why you'll often see it look like a wedding ring on the card, at least in my opinion. Book. So Donna struggled with this one. What she did is she wrote 26 in a book over and over until she just remembered. But I saw a really great comment on one of her videos where somebody suggested something even simpler that I think works better. There are 26 letters. This is the book. There are 26 letters in the alphabet. And as an author, I can tell you, you need all 26 of those letters to write a book. You need all 26 letters of the alphabet to write a book. So book is 26. Now books are exactly what you think they are. They're knowledge, secrets, learning, that kind of thing. Oh my God, my dog is so snoring. Next up we have letter as 27. So letter is again exactly what you would think it would be. It's written communication, it's documents, it's often in this day and age going to be like emails, text messages, but it's written communication, or I guess you could say typed out communication. It can be information coming into you or information going out from you, in my view. And again, this came from a comment on one of Donna Lee's videos because it was another one that Donna Lee struggled with. If you picture an envelope on the back, just going to go like this. This is the easiest way to remember. So we're going to call this letter. So we're looking for number 27 memory device. So first we have the top flap. And if you turn this paper on its side, this will make more sense. If you turn this paper this way and draw a 7, you get a flap, right? That's a 7. That makes sense? And then from that flap, there are 2 diagonal lines. That's how you get a letter. So we have 1, 2. So we have 2. And then we have our 7 on the flap. 7. 7. So 27 for letter. Done. These ones we learned before. It's not an age appropriate or an underage appropriate comment, but if you turn the number 28 on its side, I'm going to be graphic about it. It's going to be pretty easy to remember that this part here, this 8 on its side, is the man. I'll just leave it there. And then the woman, there's 2 ways to remember her as 29. So we know the man is 28. The woman on her, if you kind of play with this as well, we have the 2, which we can kind of ignore. And then we have a 9. What was the 9 earlier in the deck? It was a bouquet of flowers. And not to be super gender rolly about it, but it does help me remember. I feel like a woman would really appreciate some flowers. So I just feel like women appreciate flowers. The other way that Donna Leigh does this is she's like, if you're drawing a stick figure with big boobs, you're going to have the woman have the heaviness up top. That's going to be your 9. That's the woman. So that's another way you could remember that. Now for Lily, this one also I kind of struggled with. She had a thing about like a 3 and then putting it on a hinge and making a flower. Somebody in her comment section suggested, always worth reading the comments, y'all, I'm telling you. If you just turn it this way, if you turn the 30 this way, so let's actually do that. Let's draw a 30 on its side. I'm doing it a little bit messy on purpose, but you have the stem, you have the curly leaves, and here you have a flower. So you have a lily. So we have a 30 that becomes a flower. I hope that's in frame. So we have our lily. It's not a good lily, okay? It's not meant to be. Lilies aren't that shape. We could play with it and make it pretty, but we have a lily if we draw it that way. So again, 30 on its side, we have a lily, a flower. So that's lily. Okay, now lily is going to be, I guess I should have addressed man and woman. These are significators, so they don't have an assigned like energy or meaning. We just have the person and the significant. And what's great is decks that have these be just like people cards, where you have the first person card and the second person card, and the numbers for these don't actually matter that much. You can have the man be your significator and the lady be the querent's like other person that they want to get read about, or your other person you want to get read about, or you can flip them. It doesn't really matter as long as you know who's who before you do the reading. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, back to the lily. So the lily is something that I have associated with elder people, older people. So I have maturity written here. I just tend to think of lily as a flower that like older people like. It's a super dumb stereotype, but it helps me remember the meaning. So maturity. It can also be associated with purity. Lilies are often white. When I think of lilies in the tarot, I think of like pure flowers, pure energy. And then they also can be associated with peace. So I have maturity, purity, and peace on the lily card. Okay, this next group are mostly rhymes, so we're just going to roll with it. Rhymes as according to the teachings by Donna Lay. So 31 is the sun. So for me, sun puts things in clear visibility. So I have visible, I have exposure, and joy. So being exposed, being visible, and then of course joy, brightness, happiness, that is the sun. But for the number to remember, it's literally 31 equals the sun. 31 equals the sun, it rhymes. For the moon, Donna Lay really took some liberty with this one. 32, so we just add an N to 32. So 32 equals the moon. The moon is going to be dreams, emotions, intuition, and inner self according to my studies. Now again, when you're coming up with your personal keywords, read through your resources, refer to your favorite Lenormand book, whether it's the cute little Lenormand or a different book. Pick your keywords. I like pulling keywords off of these cheat sheet sections here or through entries, just as long as it makes sense to you and it's something that's going to be versatile for you to work with. Okay, so our next card is the key. So 33 is the key. Again, it rhymes. See that? It's awesome. Donna Lay also pointed out that 1-3 kind of fits into the other 3, much like a key. So that's another way you could look at that. So key is exactly what you'd think. It opens something, it unlocks something. So it's going to be an answer, a solution, a breakthrough, something that kind of gets you from point A to point B, or removes obstacles in some way. It unlocks doors. It opens chests. You know, what does a key do? Then we have 34, and she had fish ashore as one of her rhyming options. She also had one about the door, and I didn't like that one as much, so I'll just write down fish ashore. So it all rhymes. 31 is the sun, 32 is the moon, 33 is the key, 34 is fish ashore. So it all rhymes. Fish are associated with money, abundance, the flow of resources. I have also here business success. So yeah, money, abundance, and assets are what I have down here. These are your resources. This can be a little bit odd if you've never encountered this before, but in a lot of cultures, like I want to say Eastern cultures, like Asian cultures, fish are associated with money and abundance. And if you have a hard time remembering that, you could also think of goldfish. What is a goldfish? It's gold. Gold is obviously a resource. So goldfish means that fish are money and resources. So that could help you remember that fish are money or resources. And then these are the last 2 cards. So these are really easy. These ones are not to me about, well, this last one is about rhyming. 35 is the second to last card. And so the way that I remember, we know that there's 36 cards in the Lenormand. So the way that I remember that the anchor is the 35th card, the card before the very last card, is that what do you do if you're on a boat and you want to stop? Your journey is going to be done. Before your journey is done, you first have to drop your anchor. So the anchor is the thing you do before the very end. So it's the second to last card. It's what you do. You drop anchor before the end. You can't disembark the ship until you've dropped your anchor. So the anchor is the second to last step of the end of a journey. So that's how I remember where it is in the deck, that it's 35. It's the second to last card. But of course, anchors are exactly what you might think. They are stability, security, permanence, because you're dropping an anchor. You're stopping. You're going to stay here for a while. So there's that situation of like planting roots. I know I shouldn't be mixing my metaphors, but here we are. So the anchor is that sort of like stability. And then the last card is the cross. And there's a bunch of ways to remember the cross. 36 though, if we want to stick with the rhyming nomenclature, I mean, we didn't do it with anchor, but if we want to go back to the rhyming nomenclature, I saw somebody in comments suggest 36, crucifix. Now that might have too religious of a connotation for you, and if that's the case, you might want to pick something different. You could remember, as Donna Lay points out, that crosses are often on gravestones, and obviously that marks the end of somebody's life. So you could think of a cross being on a headstone or a gravestone as the end. But the cross, from a meaning perspective, is associated with destiny. That's what I have. Destiny, burdens, sacrifice, and suffering. So burdens is the most common way to look at the cross in the Lenormand system. So that's how I tend to look at it. But as far as remembering the number, or that it's the last card, if you think of the cross as like the end of a story, which of course it is in religious context, but also as a marker on a gravestone, then that also makes sense, right? So 36 is the last card. So that is all 36 cards. So now what we're going to do is do a little, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do a little test. Okay, so I'm going to put my cards away. When we've just gone through them, do I want to, yeah, I'm going to shuffle, because are the numbers all in the same place? No, these numbers move around. So we're going to use these ones because the numbers don't, they're all at the tippy top. And so we're going to do a little quiz. And this is for my own self as well, because I'm trying to memorize these still. Some of them I had memorized before, but then because I didn't practice, I lost that memory. So recommendation from me is to take Donna Lee's advice and like drill yourself on this stuff. Like she suggests, like on your way to someplace in the morning, like if you go to school or you go to work, on your way through, just like list out the numbers 1 through 36 and go, okay, 1, rider, 2, clover, 3, ship, 4, house, etc. Go down the list mentally for yourself. And then on the way home, do it backwards, which I think is such a cool trick. I haven't done it. So this is definitely a, hey, I think that's good advice, but I haven't taken it yet. Instead, we're going to quiz ourselves by just flipping these cards over with the box over top, like we've done before. And I'm going to make sure that I have a nice even stack. And then I'm just going to pull this down. Do I have a card stuck in the top? No. Okay. We're going to pull it down. Hopefully there's been no spoilers. And we're starting off with 32. Do we remember what 32 is? So write it down or say it aloud as you go through this quiz and we do it together. So 32, I'm going to say it now, should be the moon. Oops. I'm going to hide that. So 32 is the moon. I'm going to have to turn this like sideways, I think. Oh, is that going to give too much away? We'll keep it this way. All right, anyway, so 32 is the moon. So 32 is the moon. 3 is the ship. 6, say it or write it. You can pause as we go too. So, oh, I'm getting stuck. Oh yeah, 6 is clouds. Okay, 21. 21 is mountain. Mountain. I should show you that I'm right, but like, okay. Next we have 5. Do you remember what 5 is? 5 is tree. Okay. Next we have 4. 4 is the house. 14. 14 is the fox. 12 is birds. I knew that. I should have said it before I pulled it out. It's not a very good example of me learning it. Okay. 20. Lots of something. That was 2. So that's the garden because we had lots of clovers. Makes a garden. 11, that's that repetition. We have the broom and the whip. I'm trying to not go too slow, but also like if I'm too fast, feel free to turn the gears or like, yeah, just pause and unpause. 18. Oh, I need to think for a second. Oh, yes. Okay. 18 is the dog. That's that forever friend, the lemniscate. Then we have 2. 2 is clover. 17. I remember that is stork. Stork for 17. I'm kind of high up on the frame here. Let's bring it down a little bit. Next we have 25. I remember that as the ring. 23 is mice. 16 is stars. 7 is snake. Oops, snake. 27 is the letter. I swear that Donna Lee's trick about like writing down, like drawing and writing things, it makes such difference for these sticking. 22. 2. Ah, yes. Double path. I mean, 2 options. So that's the path or the crossroad. 31 is one of our rhyming ones, is the sun. 33, also a rhyme, is the key. 15, that is our bear. 28 is the man. 29, not a very good shuffle there, is the lady or woman. 30 is the lily. 26, what do we need 26 of? All the letters to make a book. 8 is coffin. 9 is bouquet. 24 is heart. 19 Oh, 19. Hold on. 19. Oh, this is tower. That's one of my tough ones, but it's the flag on top of the tower. So the flag is the 9, the tower is the 1. 34 is fish ashore. So that's the fish card. 35 is the second to last card. And what do we do before the end? We drop our anchor. 36 is the last card, and that is rhyming, crucifix. Otherwise, you can think of that ending. 10 of swords, the scythe. 1 is the rider. And 13 is the child. So there you go. Once you get a feeling for these, you're going to be off to the races. So now that we have the full deck, we're not going to focus on a ton of exercises this week because I think, or this month, because I think next time I do one of these videos, we're going to start to work on the grand tableau. So here's what I would suggest you do as far as like memorization and why we've been memorizing in the first place. Let me just zoom out. Here's what I would suggest you try as like a drilling or practice technique to memorize these. So grab your deck in order. So this one is still in order, I believe. I don't think I've shuffled it, have I? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay, so they're all in order. Take a look at, you can look at it online or you can pull out your favorite book and look at the layout for a grand tableau. Because a grand tableau has, traditionally, there's a couple different ways to do it, but this is the most common. You have 4 rows of, is it 9 cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 8 cards. I was going to say 8 and then I second guessed myself. So 4 rows of 8 cards. That's 32 cards plus 4 cards at the bottom. So 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So you have 36 cards laid down, 4 rows of 8. So what you can do as a practice, right, is you can lay your cards out in order, right? So upside down. I did it. Not supposed to be dealing them out like that. Let's make sure I didn't screw it up. Okay, I didn't. All right. I kind of pull it from the bottom. Okay, 8. And then we have the next row of 8, pulling in order, because I want the right cards to be in their right spot. So the way a grand tableau works is you have houses. We talked about houses in the last one of these videos. And so if you memorize what all the numbers are, then you know what every house is by math, by knowing which number is which card, right? And so if you memorize that, this is our 3rd row. So this is kind of like a memory game. You lay out your grand tableau in order with your cards in order upside down. So the right cards are going to be in the right spot. And then you're going to quiz yourself as you flip them over. So here's our 4th row. And then we have our last 4 cards that go in the center. Okay. So this is our grand tableau. It's just a little smushed. So I'm going to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is my 5th house? That's going to be this one. And I'm going to say 5th house, card number 5 is going to be the tree. So that is the house of the tree. Perfect. And then I'm going to pick a different one. Let's pick the 16th. 16th should be stars. And let's pick 18. 18 will be 18. Dog, right? You could also flip them over in order, obviously. 35 is anchor. All right. 4, 3. 32 is going to be moon. Okay. Let's do 21. Mountain. 3 is ship. 32, 31, 30, 29, 28. 28 is, oh, man. Okay. So we obviously know that 29 is going to be lady or woman, okay, or person significator or person significator, etc. Okay, so then if we have 32 here, then this is 33. 33 is key. Okay, what about 4? We know is house. 8 is coffin. 10 is scythe. 12 is, I almost said hanged man, but this is not tarot. 12 is 1 dozen, birds. Okay. 14 is fox. I'm trying to like skip around and not like make myself go in order because it's easier to remember in order. 9 is bouquet. 36 is cross. What number? 22, 23 is mice. 26 is book. 19 is tower. We know that one was a sticky one for me. 2 is clover. That's that's a throwaway. 6 is clouds. 15 is bear. Okay. 17 is stork, and 11 is broom and whip, or just broom, depending on your deck. What do we have left? What's up here? 7 is snake. 1 is rider. It's an easy one for me, so I didn't want to go there first. Okay, 22, path or crossroad. 20, a lot of clovers, that's garden. 27 is letter. That one's really stuck, I think because I had to go searching for one that made more sense to me. 30 is lily. What do we have left? 10, 11, 12, 13, child. And 34, fish. And that leaves 31, which is sun. Oh, I forgot 24, which is heart. Did we get them all? No. 25, which is ring. There we go. So now, having practiced that in order, then we can test ourselves in a different way. So let's pick these up. They don't have to be in order anymore because we've done all that. If any of them get flipped, I'll fix them later. Let's see. I think they're all going to be upright for the most part. Okay. So let's get our grand tableau Lenormand. And let's just practice the idea of putting cards in houses just in the first row, just to see what we think. And this is, again, just meant to be a bit of a drill, like a little bit of a practice of just getting comfortable with how houses work, because, of course, that will be needed for the grand tableau. So I'm just going to shuffle this a fair bit and give it a good... That was a bad shuffle, Lisa. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, quick little shuffle. We're going to just pull cards for the first 8 houses. So I'm going to flip them over as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to move them over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so now the card and its house become a pair. And we did a little bit, like I said, we did a little bit of this in the prior video. But now I want to just kind of practice. This would be if this was the first row of my grand tableau, what does that tell me? So let's look at pairs and just kind of start putting things together. So in the 4th position, we have the lily in the house in the 4th place, which 4 is house. So we have lily in the house of the house. So that to me tells me that the house has matured, right? The family is maybe more mature. Maybe it's mostly adults in the household. It can also mean that that house has a sense of like there's peace in the home, because of course the lily is associated with peace. This is a good card to have in the house of the house. Let's pick a different one. Let's look at the rider. So we have the fox in the house of the rider. So maybe we have new information about that's come through that is allowing us to be more strategic or cunning. So something new has come in, some information, or it could be information about a cunning person or a sort of manipulative person that has come our way. So there's been this, like, maybe we have a bit of a visitor lately. Maybe we have a guest coming and they're a little bit maybe fox-like in their qualities. We have Clover in the house of Clover. Now, to me, this would emphasize this card, because if you see a card landing in its own house, to me, that's kind of like putting a big fat underline underneath it, that like, pay attention to this. So if we have luck in the house of luck, that's great. To me, that's like double luck. We got a little bit of an emphasis there. So if we were to imagine having Clover plus Clover, what would that mean for us? And so we can kind of dig in there and go, oh, okay, we've got, things are positive. There's a lot of luck. The coffin is in the house of the ship. This is an interesting combo. So this is one that immediately I'm like, I don't know what that means. So we're going to take a look together and see if there's an example given of this. So let's go to the coffin card, which is card 8, and see if it maybe gives an example, or we can go to, so here, a negative combination, a positive combination, sister card. So I'm just seeing if anything jumps out at me here. So the coffin in the clouds might be depression and emotional turmoil. So if I think of the coffin and travel, this could be, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Travel comes to an end. Maybe this is like we have to close the door on travel for a while. Maybe that's just not going to be an option for a bit. We're not going to be going a whole lot of places. Maybe our car died, right? We could have a vehicle failure, like a mechanical failure. Coffin in the house of the vehicle. Then let's go look at, let's see, did we do anchor? 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we have the anchor in the house of the tree. Stable health, stability and longevity in the same house. To me, this means that life, maybe for the querent, is currently pretty static. There's not a lot of big shakeups coming. At least that's how I would read that, or at least in the realm of the health, their health. Then we have key in the clouds. So there's like a desire to or a need to open up or unlock some confusion. Maybe there's been some obscurity, some things just haven't been very clear. The key could offer some insight. Maybe there's some insight in there. I don't know. I'm a little stuck. Let me know if you have thoughts on key in the house of clouds. I'm going to go to the book and see if anything jumps out at me from the key card, which is 33. Every once in a while, it'll actually list the combo you're looking for, which is always helpful. So here we have the key and the mountain success. Oh, because this talks about the key being success. Did I actually have that as one of my keywords? Because that's really good. Did I give success as one of my keywords? Because that's great for the key. I didn't, but I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna also add success, because of course a golden key. What is that, right? So I'm gonna add success there. Now it does. This is why writing on cards is so fun. Anyways, so success in the clouds tells me that maybe we're feeling a little bit blocked or confused about how we can be more successful or how our querent can be more successful. Maybe they're feeling like they're just not clear what the next step is to take in their business or at work to open up that success. So there's obscurity around success. That's kind of maybe one of the ways I would look at that. Then we have birds in the house of the snake. The snake is going to be like it's a little bit of a malicious energy. So when I see this in the house of like chatter or communication, I'm going to think of that as malicious gossip. Malicious gossip. And then we have mice in the house of the coffin. So maybe something's been slipping away. There's been a drain on finances or resources or some sort of worry, but it's coming to an end. It's in the house of the coffin. What is ending? Mice is ending. That's maybe one way to look at that. So I don't know. Again, I'm just playing, but you can do the same thing then to pull the second round, right? So if these cards were now you could even take the same cards and go, now let's pretend we're in the second row of the grand tableau. So now this is house 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think I spit on my card. Anyways, so if that's the case, how do I read these cards in those combinations? And so then you go through them, or we lay 8 new cards. So let me actually do it that way. I'm going to lay 8 new cards, and we're going to say these are positions in the grand tableau of positions 9 through 16. So we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Shift everything over. And again, this is me workshopping it too, right? So right away, I noticed 2 things. We have both of our significators here. So for me, I would see the lady as my significator, and the man would not be my significator. So now the lady, this would be like me, or perhaps my querent, is in spot 16. 16 is stars. So there's some connections or networking happening. Maybe there's a feeling of there's a feeling of her being maybe a member of community, or maybe a community is important to her right now. There's this feeling like, so lady in community or lady in a large group. No, community is more garden. Let me review my keywords and see. Where would I land on this? So stars, where are my stars? There it is. So I have guidance, hope, wishes, multiplication, and spreading. So actually, in that context, it's like maybe she's wishing for something. There's something she wants. There's a feeling of maybe needing guidance or needing to sort of have a focus right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching. Curious what you think if you're watching and feel like leaving a comment. Okay, so that's an easy one. Let's go look at my significator. So in my case, if this was me, it would be Peggy. And Peggy is in the house of the 9, 10, 11, 12 of the birds. There's communication maybe needed. There's a call for maybe more one-on-one, more small group communication needed. So it's almost like they need to talk about dreams. They need to talk about communication. I don't know, I'm just like throwing stuff out there. I do think it's really cool that between the 2 of them, because that's something you can do in the grand tableau, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but between them we have commitment, we have resources, and we have a little bit of confusion, and that confusion seems to be more on the side of the resources, but over here we've got clarity about the commitment. So without even looking at houses, I got that. Now let's dig into the houses. The ring is in the house of the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of the child. So it almost feels like there's a new commitment or a young commitment maybe having just been made. Maybe there's been a discussion, something that we're maybe exploring that we want to really commit to. Maybe it's like a new habit or something that we've decided this is what we're going to do. Just a thought. And then here we have clouds in the house of the 16, 15, 14, the fox. So maybe we have some confusion around around somebody who's in our circle who might have, we're not sure about their intentions or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Then we have 15, which is going to be the bear. And we have specifically as they connect to the significator's manager, we'll say. Let's come over this direction. So we have bear in the house of the bouquet. I'm starting to see some interesting connections. Here we have stars showing up in the house of the scythe. So a feeling of like maybe a shift of dreams. There's been something cut or ended. Maybe one direction we thought we were headed has changed. Here we have moon in the house of, if we have 9, 10, 11 of the whip and the broom. So again, you can just start to kind of play with the idea of houses. Different ways to do this. We practiced one way last time. This is sort of starting to get comfortable with the rows, with just taking groups of cards. If we go the last 4, let's pretend we have cards in the last 4 positions of a grand tableau. And I know I'm making this video really long. I'm sorry. I'm just this is also for me, so I'm also just playing. So let's see. We have 33, 34, 35, and 36. So these are the last 4 positions. So the end we have the scythe in the cross card. So that feels to me like double negative because of course scythe is a swift cut and end, and the cross is also a burden. Now that's interesting actually. Now that I realized it, does the double negative become a positive? If what is ending is burdens, if burdens are coming to a close, if in the burden, if we're thinking of, let's look to house 36 to see what our current burdens are, and we get the scythe, it's like, wait, our burdens are either we're dealing with some burdens, some energy around something having ended, or our burdens themselves are ending, which is interesting. If we look at the house of the anchor, what is stable right now, and we have this like patterns, repetition, habits maybe are quite embedded. They're quite fixed. The stable has that. The stable energy of the anchor has these quite fixed. In the house of the 34, it was 34, let me think. Fish, abundance. So we have healthy money. So resources are looking good. And then in 33, which is the key, which is what is successful right now, we have the heart. So relationships are in a successful space. So that actually kind of works. So there's going to be other ways to play with it, but this is to just kind of start to experiment with kind of how the grand tableau sort of functions. Now that you have all the cards and you memorize the numbers, doing this kind of an exercise will also sort of re-embed what each card's number is as you start to like remind yourself, okay, what number is this position in the grand tableau? Oh, it's this. And then you'll start to remember. So I hope that was helpful. I feel like we were here forever. And we've now done all 36 cards. So ideally what we're going to start to work on in our next Let's Learn Lenormand together is I'm going to start to, and I've been putting it off because it makes me so nervous, is the grand tableau. Because I feel like we've got the foundation now to do that. So I want to play around with that, see how it feels, see if I can get more comfortable with it. So that is it. As always, thank you so much for watching. An extra big thank you goes out to my Unicorn Fam channel members. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. If you are interested in channel membership, we do deck study. I do a monthly live stream where I do readings for members at the Magical Unicorn and up tier who want a reading. And that ends up being like just a full day hangout. I do that once a month and it's really fun. I often end up giving a lot of project updates in that stream as well. It's really fun. We just hang out, do a little show and tell. We sometimes randomly shop for nail polish. You know, it just is what it is. And it's super fun. Just like a casual come hang out with me day. And I give a lot of readings. We have a Facebook group where we can chit chat and share and connect. And I also post everything on YouTube as well. So you don't have to be a member of Facebook to be a member of the channel. But anyways, that's a little bit about the membership. I really need to do an updated like membership trailer, but I just haven't yet. So if you have questions about membership, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I thank you so much. And until next time, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.